All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. We got the Week 5 recap show, man. Don't Get Work 2017 League. I'm here with Cody again. We're going to get right into it. Go ahead, Cody. Quick hits.
First one for me is the decimation of the Giants receiving core. Not only did you have Odell go down, you had Sterling Shepard go down, Brandon Marshall now for sure for the season, and you had Harris go down, break his leg, the number 4 wide receiver.
Four guys, 4 foot. Yeah, you can make two guys both feet injured. MetLife Stadium is the new. What was the field at RG3 in Washington? He was just getting injured, torn up. Man, no receivers left.
That's disgusting. And
Roger Lewis Jr.
Roger Lewis Jr., the new wide receiver. What about you, Michael?
Okay, first off, my apologies. I jumped the gun real quick on Derek Carr. I pushed him to the full 6 weeks. He already went on as questionable last week, and I said he might play this week. So obviously he's going to be back a lot sooner than expected.
And then, some more apologies.
And then I said that Cam and Deshaun Watson were a fluke, and that neither of them would be back on the studs list for the rest of the season. And by hold, 1 week, 1 week later, Cam is back on the studs list. And Watson would have actually been on it instead of Cam, but was not played. But we'll get into that later. Number 2, Cody.
Well, first of all, we're gonna start putting something behind all these hot takes that you're having. All these hot takes turning into fucking garbage takes.
It's
so we're gonna start.
You shouldn't be able to just say shit and not have any repercussions for it.
All right. Well, my next hit is Big Ben. The fucking collapse, his career worst 5 interception game, and not just that, the fucking shit he said after the game. I really don't think he wants to be on the field at this point.
Well, he's already thinking retirement before the season started.
Yeah, but he's done that the last 3 seasons. He cries wolf every fucking offseason saying oh, I don't know if I'm gonna come back, guys.
Well, when you're getting paid millions of dollars, we'll see what happens to him.
All right, what about you? Last quick hit for you.
Jay Jai is back. Now that the cokehead offensive line coach is out of town, I predict Jay Jai will be going off for 150 yards and a touchdown next week.
So what is it about that coach?
We're gonna have a solid game plan. We're not gonna have some half-assed piece together game plan. My predictions: 150 and a touchdown. Jay Jai back on track.
Another hot take. Let's see if that one holds up. All right, let's move on to check out the standings.
All right, Vinny's going to go ahead and stay in first place. But guess what, guys? We did have both teams lose their first game. So Johnny, Vinny, no more undefeated teams. No more undefeated teams at all in this league. 14 teams.
4 4-1s.
Yeah, everybody has a loss. So I'm so happy that, was it Manny and I believe, who got the other win? Oh, Javon, I believe Javon got the other win. So both of them got their losses on the board. You're right, 4-4-1 teams, and then look at the surplus in the middle.
All the 2 3s and 3 2s. God damn, it's close to this. From 5th place to 11th to 12th place is decided by 1 win, that's all you can ask for in a league. You got no runaways. Everybody's almost at even ground right now. And even your 0-5s, which is surprising that we still have 2 0-5 teams, but even those guys are 2 wins
from getting into the same position.
From getting into the playoff picture, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, because look, I lost 3 games in a row, so you can easily go from just go on a losing streak as easy as you can go on a win streak.
3-game losing streak, and then you got Drew up there at the 3-game winning streak, jumping him all the way to 3rd place.
So Renee put up a respectable score last week and pushed him about over that 400 mark. Yeah, but Vinny and Johnny still have a pretty commanding lead in that 4-1 group.
Yeah, well, I keep calling Renee out for being the fakest 4-1 team, but he did have a good showing finally because he was just getting lucky with all his points against him were being the lowest one of the lowest in the league.
No, but defending champ 4-1, along with a newcomer Drew, and then Vinny and Johnny up top. So good job, guys. And then we still have that surplus of 3-2, 2-3 teams down to the bottom. We have, and it's funny is I think the Mondo Mondo leads the whole league in points too right now, 490 points. So Mondo leading the league in points, and I, for 2 years in a row, right now have the most points against.
It's got to happen to someone.
All right.
All right, let's move on to the first matchup of last week.
Let's get right into it. We got Jabroni Drive versus Heartbreak Kids. Okay, now this was a undefeated team that finally went down, and this was actually the most lopsided matchup of the week. Biggest gap in margin of defeat, damn near 40 points. Good showing by Jovan. It was projected to be a very good game anyways. It wasn't, I don't believe it was our game of the week, but it could have been. Jovan on one side, not afraid of that combo that we talked about with Rogers and Bell.
Oh, not at all. It still scares me. You expected from Le'Veon the week before where he had 35 touches. I know they were still trying to get him touches, but I don't know what happened to that offense to Big Ben, and Jacksonville defense stepping up like that was unbelievable. Not only did you have 5 interceptions, but 2 for pick sixes. So Le'Veon was just nowhere to be found in that. And Rodgers was actually bottled up most of the game against Dallas. It was just that last quarter that he put in the majority of his points.
Yeah, it was one of those like rare games that Aaron Rodgers isn't shooting like for 300 yards. He on the low end of 200 yards, and actually had to go get those 200 yards.
Well, this is the first game this year that they've had a run game because Aaron Jones came in and put in over 100 yards, and Montgomery hasn't been able to eclipse a carry over 8 yards yet this year.
We'll get to Aaron Jones definitely in a little bit.
But over on Javon's side, not afraid of Case Keenum, even though he wasn't technically starting the game. I don't know where that start came from, if it was a really late decision.
Well, he had to play. He had to have played. He had to play Keenum because Matt Ryan's on bye, and Keenum was like probably the starter all the way throughout, making waiver transactions and everything like that. Like Sam Bradford was such a late start.
But going into that game knowing that your quarterback isn't even starting, but still able to give you 11 points is pretty. You gotta be happy with that.
Yeah, and he didn't. I mean, he didn't need it. He had everything locked up before the Monday night game. Anyways, huge games out of Fournette and AJ Green, both studs this week. Mm-hmm. I believe Fournette. This is the 4th highest scoring week out of all running backs, behind Hunt's week 1 and Bell and Gurley last week. So huge day, man, showing, the rookie force, man. The guy's he's a beast.
He's a grown-ass man.
Damn near 6'4", 235, 240, calling on defenders, like, just come on, man. Come on.
No, he doesn't look or act like a rookie. He's a grown man. He's not just a kid coming into the league. So
he was right. He made that remark before the season that said the NFL is easy. It might be easy for him. Like, he's a freak. AJ Green, 189 yards, huge day receiving, long touchdown. Did have the fumble, and technically, I mean, he was the fault of 3 turnovers that game. Two balls off his hands that went into defenders' hands caused for picks. So he hurt Andy Dalton's day a little bit and hurt himself a little bit. He probably could have had he would have had easily over 200 yards if he catches those 2 balls.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of those plays coming from 80 or 90 yard touchdown out of those. So that's a majority of his points coming from that. You would expect even more during the course of the game, but still a great game. And then Deshaun Jackson showed up for the first time on that Thursday night game. Had a good reception night. His targets were really high, so I see Deshaun Jackson as a good kind of resurgence from him.
And Javon needed this too, because he was the only team that was riding a 3-game losing streak coming into this game. So he started off hot and then jumped. He was on a 3-game losing streak going into facing an undefeated team. So I think that was a huge win for Javon. Pretty much, 5 out of 9 of his players balled out. The other ones pitching a little bit. Carlos Hyde is a little bit scary going forward. I don't know if Mike Shanahan and the Niners not having any wins, that they're like pushing for the future, and Hyde's going to be a free agent. They have Matt Breida, so I've been hearing some things about that backfield maybe being turned up a little bit.
Well, I could just see it if they lose enough games to where they're theoretically out of it. Why, if you're not going to re-sign Hyde, why are you going to keep giving him carries? You're going to get Breida more involved in the offense, and you're going to push on to next year. And over on Johnny's side, just
Gio.
a bad showing from Golden Tate, Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey had the blanket of Patrick Peterson, so you couldn't expect much from that. Patrick Peterson will take away your number one wide receiver every week.
And I thought Gio was a really weird ad. I felt like he had that one screen catch last week that went for the touchdown before half.
Yeah, that offense has finally shifted over to being it's Joe Mixon's backfield, and with the new offensive coordinator, and Gio will be involved every now and then, probably some third downs every now. But they're even getting Mixon involved in the pass game because they want there to be a clear number one. And
yeah, if you look at all his skill position players, it's like 25, 28 total points, like combined from everybody outside of the Rodgers and his kicker defense.
Yeah.
So Jovan plays Kevin next week, and Johnny actually plays the hot DX. So we'll go ahead and get into the next match.
And speaking of DX, putting in a ridiculously good showing this week
This
against
was like a
Legion
really
of Doom.
good game. Ended up being like a really good game because it was actually projected, I think, as like the lowest scoring game.
Yeah, 83-78.
Yeah, of the week, and it ended up being the highest scoring game, pushing 200 points.
Yeah.
About on Alex's side, he huge day out of Melvin Gordon, and the crazy thing is he didn't even do it on the ground he did it on the ground when it came to rushing yards, but he got all his touchdowns through the air. Pickup of the week, Aaron Jones.
Yeah, the pickup of the week, and it was funny. He was picked up, and he was like a target for everybody because Montgomery had the broken ribs, and Williams had the knee injury, so it was like clear it was Aaron Jones. And then Montgomery said he's ready to play. Williams comes back to practice in full, so I believe he got picked up and then dropped, and then picked up again when it was found out later in the week that, they love this kid and that they are willing to give him the full workload.
Do you think that might push Montgomery back to like the slot and the scat position?
I think it's going to be a timeshare because I still think they believe in him, but you can't, after that showing, you can't just be like, it's your, and especially with the rib injury, it's something that he's going to be nursing. So it's going to be more of but at the same time, I think Montgomery can still be successful in a timeshare because I don't think he's the type of running back that can friggin' get a ton of carries a game. He's a former wide receiver. He might be better off. He's still going to be a ridiculously good pass catcher out of the backfield. So he still has value, but Aaron Jones put in a damn good showing.
Yeah, he actually held up the skill position players along with Gordon. Baldwin and Cobb both had down weeks. Mike Wallace had a reasonably very good week, doubled his projected at 130 points, and then held up again, man, 2 weeks in a row. Cam, he doesn't.
He's back.
He doesn't like women talking about routes, but he likes throwing routes, and he likes throwing touchdowns.
Well, it may be true that he's actually getting healthy. I didn't believe that was like a thing. I thought it was just, this is typical Cam. He has garbage accuracy. He's a career 60%. So I wasn't too impressed with the New England performance because the week before he shit the bed versus New Orleans. So I told myself that if he played Detroit and had a good showing against Detroit,
Saints defense, two straight shutouts. Defense could be real. Defense could be real.
Yeah,
we just shut out Miami. Coming off a bye, probably gonna do the same thing to Detroit this week.
Oh my God, no!
And back-to-back 300-yard games for Cam.
Yeah, he's not a 300-yard passer.
I'm gonna just stop saying it because maybe he is a 300-yard a game passer now.
My thought was that he's a 250 guy with getting you those extra 4 or 5 points on the ground. But he did this 300-yard passing and this 26 points with 0 rushing yards. He had like 8 attempts, but he had 0 rushing yards, which is...
Did he have 0? He had
attempts, and they had a goal line carry for him, a design run that just got stuck. So they're still... It's good for Cam that they're trying that, but he still was able to put up points even not being successful on the ground.
Okay, so that's two wins in a row for DX. He really needed it. He was one of the teams that 0-3 had to get on the board. We're saying, okay, get 1 win and then get on a roll. Okay, 2 in a row. Now let's see if he can go off next week. And, when he plays, I think he plays Johnny up there, and see if he can get his 3rd in a row. Panda came in, I think he might have been running a 2-game win streak too. I believe he was 0-3. I could be wrong, but I know he was down at the bottom. Losing David Johnson at the beginning of the year. Um, he had a good week.
Good week with what he was originally projected, because he had some tough plays out there. You're not expecting a whole lot out of a couple of these players that did show out for you. You weren't expecting a whole lot from Javorius Allen going in, thinking like Alex Collins has been taking a ton of carries, but West got hurt early. It seems like they're afraid to give Collins the ball around the goal line because of his fumble problems, and so Javorius Allen came in and put in a great week.
You get 20.8 points out of your defense.
That definitely helps.
He was the Jacksonville owner. So,
but some of his other, and then Ty finally showed up as well.
Ty
had a couple.
I think everybody was really high on Ty this week. San Francisco rolling into town. Even with it seemed like Brissett and him been hooking up a little bit.
Think about what he'd be doing if Luck was playing though.
That's why I got Luck on my bench, baby. I'm just waiting. He's back at practice. He's back at practice.
Still a couple weeks away, I think.
It's still a couple weeks away. Phillip is he can hold on. Right. It depends on which Phillip I get, but he can hold on. Blake Bortles, man, terrible day. In a day where Jacksonville just thrashes Pittsburgh.
Well, he didn't have to do it. They purposely want the ball out of his hands. He had a total of like 8 pass attempts in the whole second half. They didn't want him to pass. They gave it to Fournette, and their defense put up so many points.
Well, guess what? We're not looking for good NFL quarterbacks or good NFL systems.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He shouldn't be on your team. He should
be for fantasy points, and 3.7 points is not getting it done.
Bortles is only good in garbage time, anyways. So that's when he's fantasy.
There was garbage time in this game.
They were up.
That's what I'm saying. That's garbage time when
you're not going to pass when you're up.
You have garbage time when you're down. And you have garbage time when you're late.
Yeah, when you're a quarterback, your garbage time is when you're down.
Okay, true.
Deshaun Watson.
True. Oh, man. That's the worst garbage time.
All right.
Okay, so we had 89 to 110. That was our highest scoring in the game. What's next? Next on our slate.
We got my game, Heart Foundation versus Banger Swell Team.
Ooh.
I know I went into this a little down.
Look at the projected score.
Yeah, it was almost a 50-50.
It was tight. Tight.
I went into this scared on Thursday night because he had a great night from Doug Martin and then fucking late touchdown by Cameron Brate. So I was all pissed off.
A great night from Doug Martin?
Yeah, for your first game coming back and putting up 74.
I wouldn't be like, oh, that strikes the fear into me.
No. I wasn't scared the night he had, though, because it upped his projected. I mean, he was only projected 9 points to score 5 more points. Still. And he did that 74 yards and rush and touchdown in the first half.
That's what he did.
All right. So
14 points.
Fuck you. All right. But overall, Dak Prescott killed it for me, and luckily I had him as my backup QB with Cousins on a bye. So with Cousins and Prescott, I'm happy to be able to make a decision each week depending on matchup.
Yeah, your team was like weird this week. It was like huge day from Dak, huge day from Miami, and then everybody else on your team, they didn't do great, but they didn't do horrible.
Yeah,
it was like nobody over 10 points, nobody under 10 points, or under 4 points or 5 points.
My running backs are hurting.
That's another week where your running backs like. I'm surprised. This might be the first week that it's like 10 or less every week. 10 total points. Yeah. I guess what you pretty much like got what you wanted out of your guys though. Yeah. Esteban, man, another loss, and so my apologies. I said that Tyrod Taylor is probably gonna be a blessing in disguise, and you could start him over Derek Carr and not really lose anything, but.
I've been on the Tyrod train too because it seems like for the last 3 years he's been a top 12 QB for the last 3 years. He can do it both ways for you, but they're decimated at wide receiver too, and now they lost Charles Clay, which was their best pass catcher. So
is he hurt? For how long is he out?
He had a knee scope. A couple weeks.
Devontae Parker, he came in and out real quick too.
Yeah.
I saw his numbers at the end and I was like, oh shit, he must have got hurt.
He might be gone like a week or so.
Kelvin Benjamin looks great going forward. I think Jordan Howard did have a down week. They were it was tough to kind of move the ball. They don't have any playmakers on the outside. You have the 10 God, man. My favorite quarterback. You got to talk about Deshaun Watson this, Kaiser that, whatever you want. His best quarterback, Mr. Trubisky. And you get him weapons. He doesn't have anybody outside Kendall Wright, Zach Miller. And they're going to be able to stuff the run game.
Did you see the fucking annexation of Puerto Rico and the fucking goal
line?
That
was the coolest play of all time. Tell me that wasn't the coolest play of all time. call it the double, like, reverse option.
Tight end pitch option. That
Tight
was
end
fucking
pitch
awesome.
option. That was nice.
That
Who was it?
college
Anthony
play.
Barr wrapped him up,
Yeah.
and after he pitched it. That was a cool play. I think that if you are a Howard or Cohen owner, though, you have to be a little bit more excited with Trubisky being there than Glendon being there.
I'm excited being a Howard owner because I think with Trubisky, he'll be more of a he can make the throws, like, and even on the run. I think eventually they might get Cohen. Just looked like he was trying to do too much. It almost looked like he lost yards on every play because he would get caught in the backfield, and instead of just putting your head down and getting a yard, he was trying to go backwards. But Howard, it finally seems like now that he's healthy, he's the bell cow, and he's definitely the guy there. So Howard's on the rise for me.
He played 2 tight ends this week, and Cameron Brate, who actually has been doing very well in the target area, but Martellus Bennett, who's not really a tight end, but he usually has Michael Thomas out there. So bye week hurt him bad in the wide receiver department.
Yeah.
80 points, not going to get it done on most week, especially on a week that you definitely outscore your projection and hit the 100 mark plateau.
Yeah, but that's a 2-game win streak for me, so I'm happy. I'm 2-3 on the rise.
Who do we got next?
Got Nation Domination versus Vinny Ruiz, Mex's People Elbow.
Oh, the People's
This
Elbow went down.
Was this our game of the week?
This was our game of the week.
This
This was our game of the week.
And we thought Nation Domination, the one that he'll have the most projected every single week.
And this was, I think, one of my bad plays of the week. And it was starting Stafford against Carolina and leaving Wentz on the bench at home against Philly. So I think I mean that was a huge mistake. Gurley came back to earth.
Yeah.
The 3 points, 3 total points. He only had 43 yards rushing.
And
had a fumble.
And there's not good matchups coming up for him either.
Oh, I know.
He has the toughest next 5-game slate I've ever seen. And that's why everybody who had Gurley or Watkins or any guy was saying you wanted to either try to get rid of him sell him high, or you can try to keep rolling with him because he is getting volume, and they are the highest scoring offense right now. But
I think Vinny's team took a little hit with Gurley's schedule coming out. I mean, losing Brandon Marshall, I think is whatever. I mean, he hasn't really done anything.
Down week from Keenan Allen.
Yes. Amendola coming back, I think hurts Brandon Cooks a little bit.
I just can't believe how low his targets have been. It's just he's not even getting the downfield targets. It's going to Hogan. It's not.
And now Hogan is what he leads. He's tied with Jordy for the lead in touchdown catches now.
Touchdown catches, yes.
They got 5. He sat Devontae Adams, which is weird because Devontae was cleared way before
He's a full go.
Before game day. He was a full go, and he sat him for Allen Hurns and Brandon Marshall. Todd Gurley, that Tennessee run game was a mess before Mariota got hurt. It seemed like
for Derrick Henry, yeah.
And now that Mariota is hurt,
it's clear. Derrick Henry had the chance to take DeMarco's spot because DeMarco was a little banged up, and Henry had that one kind of good game, but even he looked bad. And then so you're going to keep Murray, and if he had his chance, I feel like to take the spot or at least help get more carries this year. But I think it's back to Murray. He played 50 out of the 60 snaps. It's Murray's backfield. Henry will be involved every now and then.
Wow, for Murray's backfield, he sure isn't showing
No,
shit
it doesn't
either.
mean it's doing shit, but the volume's there. That's why I'm still hopeful for Murray. Just like Ajayi, the volume's there. He's getting the carries, and he's in on every snap. What's amazing me is because I thought more of Murray was going to be more of the pass catcher this year, even though he's a big brewing guy, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and Henry can't. I thought that's what it was going to be this year, but it doesn't look like it.
Vinny's high score was Vinatieri with 17 points. So you're usually not going to
wonder.
Yeah, you're not going to win when your kicker's your high score unless you had Greg Zerlin last week with the 26. Actually, he wasn't played last week, so 60 points, man. Season low for Vinny, league low this week.
From the number one team.
From the number one team, so
still holds on to the one spot.
Still holds on to the one spot. That's how big of his point lead was from coming into last week.
Yeah.
Over on Manny's side, he keeps sitting the MVP. Our NFL MVP, Alex Smith, just chills. Just has a little spot on the couch on Manny's bench, racking up 26 points a game, and he keeps playing Brady. No, but just kidding. Brady 13 points against Tampa Bay. Really disappointing.
That game, every game that Vegas has came out and put the highest point total on has been a fucking dud. Because I've gone after that every single time I see the highest point total. I'm like, oh, this game's going to be a shootout. Play everyone you got, and it's been a fucking dud. And that Thursday night game was a dud. Winston couldn't hit anything, and then Brady was getting smacked around.
And then the big three, so Brady, Elliott, Brown, total of...
Well, Elliott and Brown had good days.
41 points. Elliott and Brown, I mean, even though they're good days, they're still not first round days really.
Elliott had the yards and the carries, but couldn't get into the end zone.
Same thing with Brown. He had the yards, he couldn't get into the end zone. Tyreek Hill did his job that he's been doing kind of as that number 4 guy. Fucking did it on a punt return.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about Tyreek Hill, though.
Why?
Because from the beginning of the year, that first game, they were doing everything they could to get Tyreek the ball, running all these crazy formations. He was in on like 90% of the snaps.
They'll come back to it.
Last game, he was 60% of the snaps.
They'll come back to it. They're not going to be able to run out the same game plan that you do every week. It looks like they're trying to do. Chris Conley's a good wide receiver. It looks like they're trying to.
Got hurt.
Well, they look at the beginning of the game. They were trying to get him involved.
Yeah, they were trying to get him involved.
I mean, and Travis Kelce, he's pretty much who you're putting your fucking game plan around in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about Tyreek Hill. I think in Manny's spot where you're not in a league this big, you would usually be like really banking on Tyreek Hill as probably as a number 1 guy, or maybe even holding up your receiving.
To have Brown and Hill is nice, and Elliott. And,
he is hurting at that number 3 spot though, playing Kenny Stills.
I don't know what he's going to do about his other running back as well.
Yeah.
So with Powell as your number 2, I'm pretty sure I know that was his drafted number 2, and then Powell's hurt. I don't know what's going on with running.
And then for the first time, I think in Manny's whole life, he benched Justin Tucker for Zerline after Zerline's week last week.
And Zerline missed.
And then Tucker outscores him 11-4. Yeah, so I guess the rule is don't bench your boy. All right, next matchup. Who we got?
Defending champ Rendog versus NWO.
All right, go ahead.
We had Jaime trying to get his first win on the board. I know he's been making a lot of moves and trades, doing everything he can, but he wasn't able to squeak it. I mean, one of the lowest projected of the week, but he still put up a good showing compared to his projection.
It was actually his highest score of the year.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's had
this is the one
trouble.
it's called the Monday night mistake. You have Jaime lost by 7 points. He had the ability to choose between Tariq Cohen and Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, everybody would have went Cohen.
Everybody would have
It wasn't
Cohen.
a decision.
And
Jaime
said he changed it like 10 times.
Really? Do you
and
even
went
have
back
that
and forth, and then finally went with Cohen. Cohen gets the huge dud. Doesn't even put in a point. McKinnon comes down with 20 points.
Yeah.
So that would have been that would have definitely been the factor. He made a great play picking up Brissett. Great play with Brissett. Will Fuller shows out to another huge day. That's
6 total catches, 4
touchdowns. Even though Darkwa got that touchdown, Gollum still looks like the guy that they want to use in the backfield, and he might even be more valuable now that the Giants receiving core is decimated.
Yeah, and then he even had the showing from Marshawn Lynch this game.
The shadow showing of Lynch, I think, is.
And that was against Baltimore too.
I think it's gonna be one of the few showings of Marshawn.
So that maybe that's good going forward for him. I mean,
so he had a good week. I think Pittsburgh kind of let him down too. I think they had the ability to score double-digit points, but 86 points is not bad. I mean, I know he was happy to put himself in a position, and damn sure mad that know that he was mad that he that left McKinnon on the pine.
And I know Rendog over there, Renee, he may have walked away with the win.
But he comes away with a huge loss.
Huge fucking loss.
Huge loss. Odell, once Odell has come back from his injury, he has had a good week every week. He had 2 touchdowns the 1 week. Mm-hmm. And then he came back, had 90 yards, didn't get in the end zone, still a decent week. And then he comes back and has the 90 yards and a touchdown this week with a long touchdown, and then he breaks his fucking ankle. Oh my god! And it was ugly too, man.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really ugly.
When it first happened, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's just Odell. Like it's another he's gonna walk off the field limping and he'll be right back in. But then after that replay showing the slow motion, oh, it was fucking nasty.
So he loses Odell. Has another solid, consistent week from Zach Ertz. Gets his first.
Still my fucking worst drop I've ever made.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you dropped him at the beginning of the year, and Renee swooped him up and has played him every week, and he has consistently got 10, 12, 15 points every week. Chris McCaffrey gets into the end zone the first time. You know what's crazy is he is not running the ball. He only had 3 carries.
Jonathan Stewart's still dominating the carries.
Yeah, and even though it's like Stewart's questionable with ankle injury every week, and he's still getting 18 carries. I think he had 18 carries.
That whole offense is kind of morphing into what I think it really is now that it seems like it's starting to run on all cylinders, and I see McCaffrey still being good going forward.
You think he's going to just go back? Is he going to get up to 12, 15 carries where that's where you're running back one?
I don't think he's going to get that many carries as long as Jonathan Stewart is back there healthy.
So then he's not an RB1?
No.
He's not an RB1? No. Okay. So that means...
Borderline 1, he's definitely not.
So you would say that Renee's team is 4-1 but doesn't feature a running back 1 or a wide receiver 1?
At this point now, yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
look, Cody says hurts. No. Cody said no way.
That fucking hurts.
Yeah, that does hurt. But look, 93 points is best day of the week, and he actually underperformed the original projected. Kicker and D both put in double digits. The only play, he had a couple low scores. Martavius Bryant, I thought ever since he got cleared for suspension that he was supposed to be some big time threat. Ben can't do anything, but it's weird. Le'Veon and Antonio still get theirs. Everybody else. Fart noise.
Next game?
What's the next game?
Your game.
It's mine and Drew.
Hotel versus Hulkamania.
This actually could have gone a couple different ways too. This was a really, you know how your game was projected at 85?
Yeah.
This game was projected at 94. It was kind of back and forth. There was an easy difference in this game.
You got garbage timed.
Well, I got garbage time, and my guy didn't do it at the end of the game. It was like a double switch. I had Cooper Kupp on one side, and he dropped a game-winning touchdown for me, and then DeAndre Hopkins gets a touchdown with no time remaining, and they have no chance to win. They're down three scores, and then they throw a touchdown, and Deshaun Watson runs in the 2-point conversion. So I got garbage time TD, and my guy dropped the ball. So that is a 12-point switch right there alone.
Drew able to pull out the win even with a 0 from Sammy Watkins.
Drew could have blown me out. He could have blown me the fuck out. He left Deshaun Watson on the bench.
Yeah, that would have been.
So that would have been 34 points.
I don't think he's going to do that again. I don't think he's going to play Ben again.
We were texting, and he was like, well, looks like it's just Deshaun Watson the rest of the way. Who would have known that Big Ben at home against Jacksonville wasn't a good play anymore?
Jesus.
But it's right. 5 interceptions for Ben. He only got 7 points. Phillip Rivers outscored Ben Roethlisberger by 3 and was on the road against the Giants, and Ben Roethlisberger's home against the Jaguars. That's how crazy things have switched. The Jaguars have a vaunting pass defense, and Ben Roethlisberger can't get it done. But Phillip Rivers could still get it done against the Giants.
So that's a 3-game losing streak for you?
3-game losing streak. I'm the only team.
It's surprising looking at your team.
I'm the only team though on a 3-game losing streak.
To have the fantasy MVP on your team, Kareem Hunt. To have Ajayi as at this point now,
he's going to get going. He's going to
apparently is going to get going.
He's going to get going.
To have Dez and Larry Fitz, your team.
Latavius Murray was not a great.
Your team on paper looks like one of the best teams in the league, but 3-game losing streak is fucking tough.
Yeah, and then on the other side, Drew is on a 3-game win streak. I said that last week he was on a 3-game win streak, but he was not. He was on 2 games. So now
he's got Shady, who I still believe in, coming up on a bye this next week. So maybe they'll get right after that. Joe Mixon's finally
first double-digit game for Joe Mixon.
I think it's just going to keep rising on him.
Hey, I don't see and you know who one of my favorite fantasy players is now is The Duke.
Oh, Duke Johnson.
The Duke. Another 14 points. I bet Duke Johnson is one of Drew's favorite players. You know when you're just in fantasy and some player just balls out for you for a couple weeks and maybe he's not even you don't even know about him
As the
much in the NFL.
Isaiah Crowell owner, I fucking hate Duke Johnson. So
Dude, Duke Johnson just consistently puts up double-digit points in the flex spot for Drew as he plays Mixon and McCoy.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins was a big goose egg this week. 0 points on 1 target. Go down the list. Landry was actually finally the first Dolphin receiver out of those two that have finally
Well, I mean,
actually put up a double-digit game.
Parker had the garbage time TD, and he had a good game the first week as well.
Oh,
so
yeah, garbage time
I still
TD.
think Parker's the receiver to have in that backfield, unless it was PPR. In our league, even though he's a little banged up right now, I think Parker's going to be being the guy going forward.
I left Crabtree on the bench. I wasn't going to play him coming off injury and EJ Manuel being at quarterback. I mean, I would have rather played Cooper Kupp. I lost because of my trade. I traded.
Fuck.
If I would have had Chris Hogan and James White in their original spots, then I would have won this game.
Must be nice doing your trade, and then you find out Gronk's not playing.
Well, guess what? You could find out how Gronk's going to play this week.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see him.
On paper, I was like, I thought it was like, wow, you're getting fucking Gronk out of this. But I was like, wait, Chris Hogan fucking leads the league in touchdowns. You're fucking crazy for giving him away.
The Patriots haven't been playing great football. They're going to start turning to...
Gronk's going to get fucking hurt again.
Don't say it. Not
Gronk's
against
getting
you.
hurt again.
Not against you.
Against me, he's going fucking down.
All right, so Drew 3-1. Go ahead. 4-1 and moving into third place. Next matchup.
Actually, this is our final matchup. We had the stinker for last. This is at least a close game, but goddamn, fucking 66 against 61. X-Blades versus Stunner.
Can we make a quick point that 2 Vikings quarterbacks were started this week in a 14-team league? So we had Case Keenum and Sam Bradford.
Not only did 2 Vikings quarterbacks get played, the highest scoring fucking quarterback of the week didn't fucking play.
Watson, yeah.
Watson didn't play. That's fucking wild.
So 1.4. I don't know. Mondo played Bradford because he had Drew Brees. I don't know if he picked up a third quarterback at all or if he waited all the way till Monday, got the news that Bradford's going to start, and then just played him.
I mean, and then going down the list, he's playing 2 New England running backs, which playing 2 wide receivers from one team, I'm okay with in certain situations. But playing 2 running backs from a team,
James White pretty much a wide receiver?
I guess.
He's a slot guy. Dude, look how many New England players he played. He played Amendola, Hogan, Gillislee, and White. If you're gonna fucking roll with a team, you roll with the Patriots.
Looks like
Mondo said, you know who goes to the Super Bowl every year? The Patriots.
So
you know who I'm gonna have on my team? New England Patriots. I like it. I think it's winning formula, Mondo. It got them done this week. New England doesn't always win pretty. Sometimes you gotta do some dirty.
They walked away with the win.
Sometimes they gotta do some dirty things to get a win. Sometimes you gotta get 21 points out of your kicker.
Fuck. Oh yeah, Jesus. Okay. Well, not only did that get the highest score on his team, fucking obliterated the highest score on his team. Bad showing from most of the rest of his team. Diggs got hurt. Non-showing. Evans for some reason.
Every week it's a different guy on Mondo's team that gets hurt.
Yeah, he's been pretty riddled with injuries, huh?
Yeah, and Kevin, man, I think he had the lowest total score of all wide receivers in the league. 0.8 from Cooper, 0.9 from Shepard, and 3 from Moncrief. So less than 5 points, man. That's tough too, because
having to roll Cooper out of there every week is tough. And I thought last week saying that he wasn't going to get played again, but I know in this 14-team league we don't have many choices. But if Derek Carr's not fucking out there, he's borderline droppable.
So both of them are now tied for 5th place. Mondo has kind of a commanding lead in points in that in that 3-2 area. Ends Kevin's little winning streak. Mondo gets it done without Breeze. So I'm sure Mondo would definitely be happy to take a win without Breeze and Bradford being pulled before halftime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And finally, a bad showing from Russell Wilson, which I've been trying to call for.
It wasn't even that. I mean, it was bad, but it could have been. There's like so many star quarterbacks that had worse weeks.
It just seems like Seattle versus anytime Seattle plays the Rams, it's almost like nobody can be played in that fucking game.
Well,
it's always going to end up being.
It's always 13 to 16, 20 to 17. It's always like it's really a low scoring game. It goes under like every time. I was looking at even the Vegas numbers. It was like it go under every time. It's Rams Seahawks football. The score is going to be under.
Yeah.
All right, was that our matchups?
That was all our matchups. That was all our matchups.
All right, that's week 5 matchups. Let's just go ahead and just get right into that. Studs and duds, jabronis and phonies. Jabronis and phonies. So, Mondo, you started Sam Bradford, so he tops the list. 1.44 points. He had 36 yards and was out before half.
Yep. 2 on the line, Blake Bortles, even in a win, 95 yards, 1 interception. I don't know how you can only throw 95 yards in a fucking game like that.
Ben would have been on this list, but because Panda started Blake Bortles, he got less points and got thrown onto the list. All right, Chicago-Minnesota game. Trey Cohen had 7 yards in Trubisky's debut.
Dude, like I said earlier, all I saw Cohen doing was running backwards. He was trying to do way too much, and that's where the 7 yards came from.
Who you got, Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry, 0.9 total yards. Like I say, he's non-existent in that backfield now. I think it's all DeMarco Murray, if that offense could even get going.
Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Biscuits.
The complete 0. 1 target, 0 yards. I didn't even watch that game, really, so I don't know if it was him being locked up by Sherman or what was going on. Didn't get the ball much. Went to Cooper Kupp.
And
lost again.
And then this point forward, I think I'm just going to put it in red and highlight Amari Cooper because he's going to stay on this fucking list every week if he keeps getting played. If he keeps getting played.
I tried to give Kevin the advice last week. Don't play Amari Cooper. He wouldn't
unless Derek Carr's back.
I said that Amari Cooper wouldn't be back on this list because he wouldn't be played.
Yeah, that's what we said last
time. So now he's back on the list because he was played.
He's got to be one, like, in NFL history books to have, like, this non-existent of a start and be one of the few wide receivers that had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons to start their career.
27 yards in 3 games.
That's ridiculous.
For a Pro Bowler.
2 1,000-yard seasons in a row.
Next.
8 fucking yards.
Next.
Kings of the Ring.
You can start out, though. I don't want to talk about him.
You want to talk about Cam Newton, who was told that he was never going to be on this list again. He played a real fucking good defense in Detroit. They had Darius Slay. He's playing against good corners, a good defense, and he's back. 355 yards and 3 TDs.
Dak Prescott, man, making his way up the ladder. 251 yards, 4 total touchdowns against Green Bay with a shootout with Rodgers.
Real nice read option at the end of the game to get him that
I like touchdown. The option. I like it. It's my style of football. All
right, and running back, the grown-ass fucking man, Leonard Fournette, 181 yards, 2 TDs, one of them being a 90-yard touchdown, but the highlight of the game, calling his fucking shot.
All right, Melvin Gordon, 28.3 points, 158 yards, 2 TDs from 17.
First wide receiver, stud, DeAndre Hopkins, Mr. Garbage Time, 3 TDs.
Hey, only one was in garbage time.
One was garbage time.
He got 2 others. Obviously, Watson.
Watson only completed 16 passes.
But still, it's getting. It's bringing Hopkins back to elite wide receiver 1.
I believe, going into the game, I know he was, so he has to be now.
Top 5.
He's top 5 in targets. Top 5 in targets in wide
receivers. Top 5 in targets and top 5 in rankings, going forward. Yep. You're always going to see him teetering in the top 5.
He's too fucking talented. You just got to throw him the ball.
AJ Green, 22.9 points, helped Jovan jump in with Leonard Fournette. So Jovan owned 2 of these guys, 189 yards, a touchdown. Had a fumble, or else probably would have had about 25. So those were the Kings of the Rings. Let's get into next week's matchups.
And sure enough, this week we play each other.
We do play each other. This is an important week, 2 and 3, and I haven't looked at the bye weeks yet, but I think we should do a little something special.
Yeah,
and we should throw a little something on the side. We know what we should do now is every week we should pick a game that we disagree on because we kind of look at the games
that'll
before.
That'll be our game of the week. The game
That
of
will
the
be
week.
the other week.
Something
But
that we
obviously
disagree on.
this week is going to be an easily disagreement. It's going to be me versus you.
Mm-hmm.
We can do something along the lines.
So a punishment for the loser of some sort, and we're gonna record it and either have it on the podcast or as a separate video. We need your guys' help to decide on what the punishment will be for the loser each week. Something we're thinking like the cinnamon challenge, be funny shit.
Anything that we could just do real quick that's not going to take too long that we could just put on.
There's the saltine challenge, eating something gross, taking some ping pongs.
Taking some fire shots to the chest.
Something like that, whatever you guys think would be funny. Not some fucking outrageous shit, though, I know you guys are going to come up with. But,
all right.
But something a little different this week. So,
and if not, we'll just figure it out, and we'll have it up and going next time. So, of course, I'm going to take myself.
And then I'm going to take myself. Heart Foundation taking down SmackDown Hotel this week. Got anything else to say to the guys?
Oh yeah, actually I do. We're rolling into week 6, so I will be sending out pretty much a link or the info of the Venmo account that Cody has hooked up to the account that is used for this fantasy league. So we're gonna start getting payments in. Everybody has a job. I don't want to hear anybody taking all this time to pay for it or wait until the season's ends. Just start getting it in, and get it in now. Get it in before Christmas starts or starts before all the holidays.
That's why we want to do it. We want to do it before holidays, so don't have to hound you guys.
You guys have like families and shit now, married.
Yeah.
Kids.
We're all grown ass man. We can do this. And get it to me, and then as long as I have everything, as soon as that championship game ends, the Venmo goes right out that night. So everybody gets their money super fast after the season's over.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get that sent out, and good luck to everybody this week, except for you.
Yep. Peace.
All right, man.